The fluorescent lights of the Omega surrogacy agency hummed overhead like judgmental witnesses to my desperation. I sat in the sterile waiting room, my hands trembling as I clutched the folder containing forms that would change my life forever. How did I end up here? I knew exactly how. 3 years ago, my father died and left me with 800 million won in debt. 2 years ago, my mother collapsed at work. Stage 3 kidney failure, requiring immediate transplant surgery, costing another 50 million won. 1 year ago, my 15-year-old brother sobbed in my arms because I told him he'd have to quit school. I was 26 years old, and I'd already lived 3 lifetimes worth of suffering. Mr. Kong Johan? A woman in a crisp white blazer appeared in the doorway. Director Min will see you now. I stood on unsteady legs, following her down a corridor lined with photos of smiling families. Alphas holding babies, omegas glowing with pregnancy. Happiness for sale, I thought bitterly. And I'm the one being sold. Director Min was a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who assessed me the moment I entered her office. Sit, she commanded, gesturing to the chair across from her massive desk. You're here about the premium surrogacy program. Yes. My voice came out rougher than intended. You understand this isn't like standard surrogacy arrangements. Our premium clients pay substantially more. She slid a document across the desk, and my breath caught at the number. But they also have very specific requirements. 200 million won. For 1 year. Plus bonuses upon successful pregnancy and delivery. It was more money than I'd see in 10 years of my current 3 jobs combined. It was enough to pay off my father's debts, fund my mother's surgery, and send Tae to the best university in Seoul. What requirements? I managed to ask. Director Min leaned back, studying me with an intensity that made me want to squirm. You're attractive, young, healthy. Your medical records show excellent fertility markers for an omega. But our premium client isn't looking for a simple transaction. He wants a partner. Someone who will live with him for the duration of the contract. Live with him. My stomach tightened. You mean, you'll reside in his home? Fulfill the role of a spouse in every capacity. Her expression remained neutral, but her meaning was crystal clear. Natural conception is required. He doesn't believe in artificial insemination. Heat flooded my face. I'd known this was a possibility, but hearing it stated so clinically made it real in a way that terrified me. Can I at least know who he is? Something flickered in Director Min's eyes. Was it pity? His identity is confidential until you sign. But I can tell you he's a very powerful alpha. Wealthy beyond measure. He's had difficulties with previous arrangements. What kind of difficulties? She hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. He's lost 3 wives. All to sudden illness. He's convinced traditional marriage is cursed for him, so he's trying a different approach. He wants an heir, Mr. Kong. Desperately. And he's willing to pay whatever it takes. 3 dead wives. The words echoed in my skull like a death knell. I need to think about. Your mother's dialysis center called this morning, Director Min interrupted, sliding another paper toward me. They're threatening to discontinue treatment if you can't pay the 8 million won you owe by the end of the week. Your brother's school sent a final notice about his tuition, and the loan sharks your father borrowed from. Her voice dropped. They don't wait forever, Mr. Kong. She knew everything. Of course she did. They'd vetted me thoroughly before even agreeing to this meeting. I was trapped, and we both knew it. Where do I sign? 3 days later, a black Mercedes pulled up outside my tiny basement apartment in Gayromance district. The driver was a stone-faced man in an expensive suit who said nothing as he loaded my 2 small suitcases into the trunk. Is that everything? He asked, the first words he'd spoken. I looked back at the cramped space that had been my home, my prison, my entire world. Yes. The drive took us out of Seoul proper, winding through increasingly affluent neighborhoods until we reached an area I'd only seen in magazines. The car turned onto a private road lined with cherry trees, and then the mansion appeared. It wasn't a house. It was a statement of power, a modern architectural masterpiece of glass, steel, and stone that sprawled across manicured grounds like a sleeping dragon. Welcome to Hanok Heights, the driver said without inflection. Mr. Ko is waiting in his study. My heart hammered against my ribs as I was led through a foyer with floors so polished I could see my reflection. Everything screamed wealth, the modern art on the walls, the designer furniture, the subtle scent of expensive cologne lingering in the air. We stopped before a set of double doors. The driver knocked twice, then opened them. Mr. Kong Johan, sir. The study was all dark wood and leather, lined with books that looked like they'd never been read. Behind a massive desk sat a man who made my breath catch in my throat. Ko-min was beautiful in the way a blade is beautiful, all sharp angles and dangerous edges. He looked to be in his early 30s, with jet black hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. His eyes were the color of midnight, and when they fixed on me, I felt pinned in place like a butterfly on a board. He was examining me with the same clinical detachment Director Min had shown, and I fought the urge to fidget under his scrutiny. "Leave us," he commanded, and the driver vanished, closing the doors with a soft click. The silence stretched between us like a physical thing. Ko-min rose from his chair with fluid grace, moving around the desk to approach me. He was tall, at least 6 feet, and broad-shouldered in a way that made me feel small and vulnerable. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough that I could smell his scent, rain and cedar with an undercurrent of something darker, more primal. My omega instincts stirred unwillingly, responding to the powerful alpha pheromones rolling off him in waves. "You're prettier than your photos," he said finally, his voice a low rumble. "That's rare." "Thank you." It came out as a question. It wasn't a compliment, just an observation. He circled me slowly, and I resisted the urge to track his movement. "Director Min says you're desperate, drowning in debt. Is that accurate?" Shame burned through me, but I lifted my chin. "Yes." "Good. Desperate means motivated. Motivated means you won't try to run." He completed his circle, facing me again. "Do you understand what you've agreed to? I'm here to give you a child." "You're here to give me an heir," he corrected sharply. "There's a difference. I don't want just any child. I want a son who will carry my bloodline, inherit my empire. I want perfection. I can't guarantee. You'll try. Again and again if necessary. That's what I'm paying for." His eyes traveled down my body with insulting slowness. "You'll live here. Eat what I tell you to eat. Sleep when I tell you to sleep. And when I require you in my bed, you'll come without question or hesitation. Is that clear?" Every word felt like a slap, stripping away what little dignity I had left. But I thought of my mother's pale face on the dialysis machine, of Tay's tears, of the lone sharks who'd started leaving threatening messages. "Crystal clear," I whispered. Something flickered in Ko-min's expression, satisfaction maybe, or anticipation. "Your room is prepared. Dinner is at 8. Don't be late." He turned back to his desk, dismissing me as if I were already forgotten. I stood there for a moment, uncertain, before realizing I'd been released. I made it to the door before his voice stopped me. "Johan." It was the first time he'd used my name, and hearing it in that deep, commanding voice sent an involuntary shiver down my spine. "Sir, welcome home." The words should have been comforting, but the way he said them, cold, possessive, final, made them sound like a life sentence. My room was larger than my entire former apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked gardens that seemed to stretch forever. The bed was enormous, covered in silk sheets that probably cost more than a month's rent. Everything was perfect, beautiful, and utterly impersonal. A prison with a view. I unpacked my meager belongings, feeling ridiculous placing my worn clothes in a closet designed for a wardrobe 10 times the size. I'd just finished when there was a soft knock at the door. "Come in." A young woman in a maid's uniform entered, her expression carefully neutral. "Mr. Ko requests your presence for dinner, sir. If you'll follow me." The dining room was as ostentatious as everything else. A table that could seat 20 with only 2 places set, one at each end. Ko-min was already seated, reading something on his phone with a wine glass in his other hand. I took my seat silently, hyper-aware of the distance between us, of the way the candlelight cast shadows across his angular features. The chef prepared braised short ribs. Ko-min said without looking up. "High in protein and nutrients. You'll need your strength." The implication hung in the air like smoke. Before I could respond, staff appeared with covered dishes, placing them before us with choreographed precision. The food was exquisite, the kind of meal I'd only dreamed about. But it turned to ash in my mouth as I felt Ko-min's eyes on me, watching every bite I took. "Tell me about yourself," he said suddenly. I looked up, surprised. "What would you like to know?" "Why you needed the money badly enough to sell yourself to a stranger." The blunt cruelty of it stole my breath. "I didn't sell myself. Didn't you?" He set down his wine glass with precise care. "You signed a contract agreeing to bear my child in exchange for money. That's the definition of selling yourself." Anger flared hot in my chest, burning through the shame. My father died and left me with crushing debt. My mother needs a kidney transplant or she'll die. My brother deserves an education. I'm doing what I have to do to keep my family alive. If that makes me a whore in your eyes, then fine. But at least I'm a whore who loves someone. The words hung between us, sharp and dangerous. I expected him to rage, to throw me out, to terminate the contract. Instead, Ko-min smiled, a small, genuine curve of his lips that transformed his face from beautiful to devastating. There it is, he murmured. Fire. I was beginning to think you were just another broken thing. He leaned forward slightly. I don't want someone who'll just lie there and take it, Johan. I want someone who fights. Someone who makes me work for every inch. Heat flooded my body, part anger, part something more confusing. I'm not a challenge for you to conquer. Aren't you? His eyes glittered in the candlelight. Then what are you? A person trying to survive. Good answer. He returned to his meal as if nothing had happened. Finish eating. You'll need your energy. For what? He looked up at me through dark lashes, and the predatory hunger in his gaze made my stomach clench with fear and unwelcome anticipation. For our wedding night. The words echoed in my head as I was led back to my room by the same silent maid. Mr. Ko requests you come to his chambers in 1 hour, she said. The door at the end of the hall. Please don't be late. When she left, I stood in the middle of my beautiful prison, my mind racing. This was it. This was what I'd agreed to. What I'd sold myself for, as Ko-min had so brutally put it. I showered with hands that wouldn't stop shaking, trying to prepare myself mentally for what was coming. I'd had boyfriends before, 3 to be exact. But they'd been tender, careful with me. They'd known about my omega biology and had treated me like something precious. Ko-min looked at me like I was a means to an end, a vessel for his heir. Nothing more. When the hour was up, I walked down the hallway on unsteady legs. The door to his chambers loomed before me like the entrance to another world. I knocked softly. Enter. The room was dim, lit only by the city lights filtering through the windows and a few strategically placed lamps. It was masculine and minimal, all dark colors and clean lines. And dominating the space was a bed that looked more like an altar. Ko-min stood by the window, still dressed, but with his shirt partially unbuttoned. He turned when I entered, and even in the low light, I could see the intensity in his eyes. Close the door. I did, my hand lingering on the handle, as if I might need to escape quickly. Come here. My feet moved of their own accord, carrying me across the room until I stood before him. This close, his scent was overwhelming, my omega biology responding despite my fear, my body preparing itself for an alpha's claim. Ko-min reached out, his fingers grazing my jaw with unexpected gentleness. Are you afraid of me? Yes, I admitted. Good. Fear makes you honest. His thumb traced my lower lip, and I couldn't suppress the shiver that ran through me. I'm not a good man, Johan. I won't pretend to be. I've done terrible things to build my empire, and I'll do more before I'm done. But I keep my promises. What promise? That if you give me what I want, a strong, healthy heir, I'll give you everything you need. Your mother will have the best surgeons in the country. Your brother will attend any school he chooses. Your father's debts will disappear like they never existed. His hand slid to the back of my neck, his grip firm but not painful. And when our year is done, you'll walk away wealthy enough to never have to depend on anyone again. And if I don't get pregnant, his expression darkened. Then we keep trying until you do. Before I could respond, he pulled me closer, his mouth descending on mine with a hunger that stole my breath. It wasn't gentle or exploratory, it was possession, pure and simple. His lips demanded surrender, his tongue claiming every inch of my mouth as if mapping territory. My body responded traitorously, heat pooling low in my belly as my omega instincts screamed at me to submit, to please this powerful alpha. But some part of me still fought, still remembered that I was more than just a vessel. I pulled back, breathless. Wait. No. His voice was rough, commanding. You signed the contract. You agreed to this. And right now, I need you to stop thinking and start feeling. His mouth found my neck, teeth grazing the sensitive scent gland there. Not biting, not yet, but the threat of it making my knees weak. His hands were everywhere, removing my clothes with efficient movements that spoke of experience. Ko-min. I tried again, but he silenced me with another devastating kiss. Tonight, you call me Min, he growled against my lips. And I want to hear you scream it. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and a body that ached in ways I'd never experienced before. The memories of the previous night crashed over me like a wave. Ko-min's hands on my skin, his mouth claiming every inch of me, the way he'd taken me apart with calculated precision. There had been no tenderness, no whispered affections. Just raw, primal need and a single-minded determination to achieve his goal. He'd been insatiable, pushing my body to its limits and then beyond. 3 times through the night, each more intense than the last. And when I'd begged him to stop, to give me a moment to breathe, he'd simply pinned me down and whispered, "This is what you agreed to." Now the bed beside me was empty, the sheets already cold. Of course he was gone. Why would he stay? I dragged myself to the shower, wincing with every step. The hot water stung against skin that was covered in marks. Bruises on my hips where his fingers had gripped too hard, bite marks on my shoulders and throat. Evidence of his claim, branded into my flesh. 1 year, I told myself, staring at my reflection in the mirror. You can survive 1 year of this. But looking at the hollow-eyed stranger staring back at me, I wasn't so sure. A soft knock at my door announced breakfast, delivered on a tray since apparently I wasn't expected to join Ko-min for the morning meal. The note attached was written in sharp, precise handwriting. Rest today. Doctor will examine you this afternoon. Expect me tonight at 10. No signature. No pleasantries. Just commands. I picked at the food, more expensive ingredients prepared by a chef who probably earned more than I used to in a year. Everything tasted like cardboard. The doctor arrived at 2 p.m. sharp, an older woman with kind eyes who examined me with professional detachment. She checked my vitals, drew blood, performed an ultrasound. "Everything looks good," she said, packing up her equipment. "Your body is responding well. Ovulation should occur within the next 48 hours, so the timing is optimal." "Optimal," I repeated numbly, as if I were a breeding mare being prepared for stud. She must have seen something in my face because her expression softened. "Mr. Kong, I know this isn't easy, but you're young and healthy. The chances of conception are very high. With luck, you'll only have to endure a few weeks of active attempts." Endure. Even she couldn't pretend this was anything but an ordeal to be survived. After she left, I wandered the mansion like a ghost. The staff gave me a wide berth, their eyes sliding away whenever I passed. They knew what I was, what I'd become. I found myself in the library, a massive room lined with books from floor to ceiling. Unlike the ones in Ko-min's study, these showed signs of being read. Worn spines, dog-eared pages, marginalia in the same sharp handwriting from this morning's note. I pulled out a volume, Korean poetry from the Joseon dynasty. Inside the front cover was an inscription. "To Min-ah, may you find beauty in words when the world offers only ugliness." Grandmother, 1998. It was such a personal thing, so at odds with the cold, ruthless man who'd used my body like a tool the night before. Who was Ko-min before he became the feared Mafia boss? What had turned him into this? "You shouldn't be in here." I spun around to find him standing in the doorway, still wearing a suit from whatever business had occupied his day. His face was unreadable. "I'm sorry, I didn't know it was off limits." "It's not." He moved into the room with that predatory grace, closing the distance between us. "I'm simply surprised you can read." The casual insult stung more than it should have. I had 2 years of university before I had to drop out. Literature major. Something flickered in his eyes. "What were you reading?" I showed him the book, and his expression shifted. Pain quickly masked. "My grandmother's favorite. She used to read it to me when I was young." He took the volume from my hands, his fingers brushing mine. Before everything went to hell. It was the most personal thing he'd shared, and I found myself curious despite everything. "What happened?" "She died. Like everyone I've ever cared about." He replaced the book on the shelf with careful precision. "That's why I don't care anymore. It's easier that way." "I don't believe that." His head snapped toward me, eyes narrowing. "You don't know anything about me. I know you kept her book. I know you've read it so many times the spine is cracked. I know," I gestured around the library, "that you surround yourself with words and stories even though you pretend nothing matters." For a moment, I thought he might strike me. His jaw clenched, his hands fisted at his sides. Then unexpectedly he laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Clever Omega. Dangerous trait." He stepped closer, backing me against the bookshelf. "But cleverness won't save you from what I need from you. Nothing will." His mouth descended on mine, and despite everything, my body responded. I hated myself for it, for the way I opened to him, for the small sound that escaped my throat when his hand slid into my hair. He pulled back, studying my flushed face with dark satisfaction. 10 p.m., Johann. Don't make me come find you. Then he was gone, leaving me trembling and confused and angry at my own weakness. The next 2 weeks fell into a brutal routine. Days, I had to myself, wandering the mansion, reading in the library, taking calls from Tae, who was ecstatic about his new school. Ko-min had kept his promise. My brother's tuition was paid in full, and my mother was scheduled for surgery the following month with Seoul's top transplant surgeon. My family was saved. And all it cost was my body, my dignity, my sense of self. Nights belonged to Ko-min. He would summon me to his chambers at 10 p.m. sharp, and what followed was always the same, efficient, intense, singularly focused on his goal. He knew my body better than I did, knew exactly how to touch me to get the responses he wanted. But there was no affection in it, no connection beyond the physical. Except, small things were changing. The fourth night, when I winced as he pulled me onto the bed, he paused. I'm hurting you. It's fine, I lied. His eyes narrowed. Don't lie to me. He disappeared into the bathroom and returned with massage oil, his hands surprisingly gentle as he worked the tension from my muscles before continuing. The seventh night, I fell asleep immediately after, exhausted beyond measure. I woke hours later to find myself tucked under the covers, a glass of water on the nightstand. Ko-min sat in a chair by the window, watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Go back to sleep, he said quietly when our eyes met. Why are you still here? I don't know. The honesty of it was more unsettling than any of his cruelty had been. The 11th night, something broke. Ko-min was driving into me with his usual intensity when suddenly he stopped, his body going rigid. I looked up to find his face contorted, not with pleasure, but with something like pain. Min. I used the name he'd demanded I call him in these moments. She used to scream, he said hoarsely, his voice raw. My first wife. She'd scream and cry and beg me to stop, but I needed an heir, so I didn't. And 3 months later, she was dead. His hands were shaking where they gripped my hips. The second one tried to run. I brought her back. She died too. The third one, she was kind to me. Gentle. It didn't matter. 6 months, and she was gone. He pulled away from me abruptly, sitting on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. I'm a curse, Johann. Everything I touch dies. And here you are, letting me touch you night after night, and all I can think is, how long until you're gone too? I should have stayed silent. Should have let him suffer alone. But something in his broken voice called to me, and before I could stop myself, I was moving. I knelt behind him, wrapping my arms around his shoulders, pressing my cheek against his back. I'm not going to die, I said firmly. You don't know that. Neither do you. Maybe they got sick. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe, I tightened my hold on him. Maybe you're not actually cursed. Maybe you're just a man who's been hurt so many times he's forgotten how to be anything but cruel to protect himself. He turned in my arms, and the look on his face stole my breath. All his careful masks had fallen away, leaving someone young and terrified and desperately lonely. I don't know how to be anything else, he whispered. Then let me teach you. I kissed him then, not because he demanded it, but because I wanted to. Because somewhere in the past 2 weeks of hell, I'd seen glimpses of the person he might have been before life had broken him. And against all logic and self-preservation, I wanted to know that person. The kiss was different. Slower. Exploratory rather than conquering. When we came together again, it was with a tenderness that made my chest ache. He touched me like I was something precious, something that might break. And when we finished, he held me against his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Stay, he murmured as I started to drift off. I'm not going anywhere. His arms tightened around me. Promise me. I promise. It was a lie, of course. I'd leave in a year when the contract ended. But in that moment, wrapped in his warmth, I almost believed I could keep that promise forever. You're smiling. I looked up from my book to find Ko-min, just Min now, in these quiet afternoon moments we'd started sharing, leaning against the library doorway. He'd loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves, looking more human than the cold businessman who'd first interviewed me. Am I not allowed to smile? I teased. You are. It's just. He moved into the room, settling into the chair across from mine. I'm not used to seeing it. You barely smiled those first few weeks. There wasn't much to smile about. Guilt flickered across his features. No, there wasn't. I was. A complete bastard? I supplied helpfully. I was going to say focused on the goal, but your version is more honest. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I'd learned meant he was uncomfortable. I'm sorry, Johan, for how I treated you, for not seeing you as a person. My chest tightened. We'd been dancing around this for days, this shift in our relationship from captor and prisoner to something dangerously close to actual partners. What changed? You did. Or rather, you didn't. He leaned forward, his dark eyes intense. You could have let me break you. Most people would have. But every day, you'd fight back in small ways. You'd challenge me, argue with me, look at me like I was disappointing you. And I realized I didn't want to disappoint you. I wanted you to look at me the way you're looking at me right now. How am I looking at you? Like I'm someone worth knowing. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. The warmth in his expression vanished instantly, replaced by cold professionalism as he read the message. I have to go. Business that can't wait. He stood, and I noticed the way his jaw tightened. The way his hand moved unconsciously toward the gun I knew he kept holstered beneath his jacket. Don't wait up. This might take all night. Min. I stood as well, concern overriding caution. Be careful. He paused at the door, looking back at me with surprise. Why do you care? Because the words stuck in my throat. Because I was falling for him? Because somewhere between the cruelty and the tenderness, I'd started seeing him as more than just the man I was contracted to? Just be careful. Something blazed in his eyes. Hope, maybe, or fear, or a dangerous combination of both. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with the terrible realization that I'd done the one thing I'd sworn I wouldn't do. I'd started to care. He came back at 3 a.m., and I knew immediately something was wrong. I'd fallen asleep in the library. I'd been spending my nights in my own room lately, and Min hadn't pushed for more, as if giving me space to breathe, but woke to the sound of the front door slamming. Heavy footsteps. The crash of something breaking. I found him in his study, drinking whiskey straight from the bottle, his knuckles bloody and his suit jacket torn. Min, get out. His voice was raw, dangerous. Not until you tell me what happened. He laughed bitterly. What happened? I killed a man tonight, Johan. Shot him in the head because he betrayed me. Watched the light go out of his eyes and felt nothing. He took another long pull from the bottle. That's who I am. That's what I do. And you want to teach me how to be human? I'm a monster. I've always been a monster. I moved closer despite every instinct screaming at me to run. Then why are your hands shaking? They're not. I took the bottle from him, setting it aside, and held up his bloodied hands. They were trembling violently. Monsters don't shake after they kill. Monsters don't drink themselves, numb trying to forget. You're not a monster, Min. You're just someone who's had to do monstrous things to survive. You don't understand. Then make me understand. Tell me who you were before all this. Tell me what turned you into the man who needed 3 dead wives and a contracted omega just to feel like he had a chance at something real. His face crumpled, and suddenly he was on his knees, his arms wrapped around my waist, his face pressed against my stomach. My parents were murdered when I was 16. I watched them die. The people who did it, they took everything. So I took it back. I built an empire on blood and fear because it was the only language I knew. And now I'm 33 years old, and I don't know how to be anything else. I sank down to his level, pulling him against my chest, feeling his whole body shake with silent sobs. You're learning, I whispered. Every day you're learning. What if it's too late? What if I've destroyed any chance of being someone you could? He stopped, pulling back to look at me with red-rimmed eyes. Someone you could love. My heart stopped. Min, don't answer that. I don't want to know. He stood abruptly, putting distance between us. Go back to bed, Johan. This was a mistake. But I didn't move. Couldn't move. Because I just realized something terrifying. I was already halfway in love with him, and there was no going back. The next morning, I woke to find Min asleep in the chair beside my bed. He looked younger in sleep, vulnerable in a way he never allowed while awake. His face was turned toward me, one hand stretched out as if reaching for something he couldn't quite grasp. I should have woken him, sent him back to his own room. Instead, I found myself studying him, the sharp line of his jaw, the dark lashes against his cheeks, the way his lips were slightly parted. In this moment, he wasn't the ruthless Mafia boss or the man who'd hurt me. He was just Min. His eyes opened suddenly, catching me watching. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. Then, I didn't mean to fall asleep here, he said roughly. I'm glad you did. Something shifted in his expression. Johan, last night I asked me a question you didn't want answered. I sat up, the sheets pooling around my waist. What if I want to answer it anyway? Don't. He stood, turning away. It's better if we keep this simple. Professional. You give me an heir, I give you money, we both walk away when it's done. Is that really what you want? His shoulders tensed. What I want doesn't matter. It matters to me. He spun to face me, and the raw emotion in his eyes made my breath catch. Why? Why do you care about what I want? I've given you nothing but pain and money. I've used your body like you were an object. I'm everything you should hate. You're also the man who reads poetry when he thinks no one's watching, who kept his grandmother's books even though they make him sad, who shakes after he kills because he still has a conscience buried under all that ice. I got out of bed, closing the distance between us. You're the man who looks at me sometimes like I'm the only good thing in your world. And I care because I took a breath, terrified but unable to stop, because I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air between us, impossible to take back. Min stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. You can't love me. Why not? Because I'll destroy you. Everyone I love dies, Johan. Everyone. And I won't. His voice broke. I won't watch you die too. Then we'll break the curse together. I kissed him before he could protest, pouring every complicated feeling I'd been harboring into that kiss. And after a moment of resistance, he surrendered, his arms coming around me with desperate strength. You're going to ruin me, he whispered against my lips. Good. You deserve to be ruined by something soft for once. He made a sound between a laugh and a sob, and then we were stumbling back toward the bed, hands seeking skin, mouths finding sensitive places. But this time was different. This time, every touch was a confession, every kiss a promise. When he entered me, it was slow and careful, his eyes locked on mine. Say it again, he demanded, his voice ragged. I love you. His rhythm faltered. Even knowing what I am? Because of what you are. All of it. The good and the bad and the broken pieces. I cupped his face in my hands. I love you, Ko-min. He kissed me then with a tenderness that made tears spring to my eyes. And when we came apart together, it felt like the world had shifted on its axis, like everything before this moment had been leading to this. After, we lay tangled together, his fingers tracing absent patterns on my skin. I've never said it before, he admitted quietly. Not to any of them. My wives. I married them because I needed heirs, but I never felt anything. And now, his hand stilled on my hip. Now I'm terrified, because I think I'm falling too. And I don't know what happens when this year is over and you're supposed to leave. Then we'll figure it out. Together. He pulled me closer, burying his face in my neck. Don't leave me, Johan. Please. Even after you give me a child, even after the contract is done, don't leave. I promise, I whispered, and this time, I meant it with every fiber of my being. The weeks that followed were the happiest of my life. Min started coming home earlier, trading his late nights at the office for evenings in the library with me. We'd read together, or talk about nothing and everything, or simply exist in comfortable silence. He taught me about his business, the legitimate parts, anyway. Real estate investments, technology startups, import-export companies. I'm trying to go clean, he admitted one night. Slowly. The illegal stuff, it's harder to leave than I thought. But I want to build something that won't get me killed. Something I could leave to. He stopped, his hand moving to my still flat stomach. To our child. Our child. I repeated softly, testing the words. Do you think about it? What they might be like. All the time. I hope they have your intelligence, your strength, and your kindness. Your ability to see the good in people even when it's buried deep. I kissed him, tasting the future on his lips. A future that somehow included both of us together. My mother's surgery was successful. She called me crying with joy, her voice stronger than I'd heard in years. I don't know what you did, sweetheart, but thank you. Thank you for saving my life. If only she knew the price. Tae visited once, his eyes going wide at the mansion. Hyung, how did you afford all this? Did you win the lottery? Something like that, I said, unable to meet his eyes. Min appeared then, and I watched my brother's expression shift from awe to confusion to understanding. He was 16 now, old enough to read between the lines. Hyung, Tae said quietly after Min left us alone. Is he, are you? It's complicated. He looks at you like you're his whole world. I know, and you look at him the same way. My brother took my hand. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. You've sacrificed so much for us. You deserve happiness too. I hugged him tight, grateful beyond words for his acceptance. The first sign of trouble came on a Tuesday morning. I woke feeling nauseous, barely making it to the bathroom before being sick. Min was there instantly, holding my hair back, rubbing soothing circles on my back. "It's happening," he breathed, wonder in his voice. "You're pregnant." The doctor confirmed it that afternoon. 6 weeks along. Everything looked healthy, normal. Min was ecstatic in a way I'd never seen. He swept me into his arms, spinning me around despite my protests that I was dizzy. "A baby. We're having a baby. Our baby. Our baby," I agreed, laughing at his joy. That night, he made love to me with such reverence I felt like something sacred. "I'm going to be a father," he kept whispering against my skin. "And you're going to be the most beautiful mother in the world. What about the contract?" I asked later, nestled against his chest. "It says I stay until the birth, and then, fuck the contract." He tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. "I love you, Johan. I'm in love with you. And I want you to stay. Not as a surrogate, not as a contracted partner. As my husband. For real. Forever." My heart soared. "Are you proposing?" "I'm begging. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making up for how I treated you at the beginning? Will you?" "Yes," I interrupted, kissing him deeply. "Yes to all of it. I love you. I want forever with you." We celebrated that night, our touches gentle because of the baby, but no less passionate for it. And as I fell asleep in his arms, I thought maybe, just maybe, we'd actually get our happy ending. I should have known better. The threats started 3 days later. Min came home late, his face like thunder. "We need to talk." He sat me down in his study, his hands tight on my shoulders. "There are people, rivals, enemies I've made over the years, who have learned about you. About the baby." Ice flooded my veins. "What are they saying?" "That you're a weakness. A vulnerability they can exploit." His jaw clenched. "That if they want to destroy me, all they have to do is take you away." "Min, I'm increasing security. Guards around the clock. You don't leave the mansion without me. And if anything happens, anything at all, you run. You take our baby and you run and you don't look back. I'm not leaving you. You will if it means keeping our child safe." His eyes were fierce. "Promise me, Johan. Promise me that if it comes down to choosing between me and our baby, you choose the baby." "Min, you're scaring me." He pulled me into his arms, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. "I'm scared too. For the first time in 15 years, I'm terrified. Because I have something to lose now. Something that matters more than power or money or revenge. I have you. And I won't, let them take you away from me." The security increased immediately. Guards at every entrance, cameras everywhere, bulletproof glass installed in all the windows. The mansion became a fortress. But it wasn't enough. It happened on a Thursday evening. Min was in a meeting in his study, one of his last remaining illegal contacts, trying to negotiate an exit from that world. I was in the library, one hand on my barely showing belly, imagining our future. The power went out suddenly. Then the backup generators failed. In the darkness, I heard gunfire. "Johan," Min's voice sharp with panic. "Run." But before I could move, hands grabbed me from behind. A cloth pressed over my mouth and nose, smelling of chemicals. I fought, but my limbs were going numb, the world going fuzzy at the edges. The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was Min bursting into the library, his gun raised, his face a mask of fury and terror. Then nothing. I woke to concrete beneath my cheek and the smell of mildew in my nose. For a moment, I couldn't remember where I was or how I'd gotten here. Then it all crashed back, the attack, the kidnapping, Min's face as I was taken. The baby. My hands flew to my stomach. Still there. Still okay. Please let everything be okay. Ah, he's awake. Good. I forced my eyes open to find a man standing over me, middle-aged, expensive suit, cruel eyes. Behind him, 3 armed guards. "Who are you?" My voice came out rough. "I'm the man Min destroyed 15 years ago when he built his empire. I'm the one who lost everything while he gained it all." He crouched down beside me, and I flinched away. "And now, I'm the man who's going to take everything from him. Starting with you and that bastard child you're carrying." Terror spiked through me. "He'll find me. He'll kill you." "Oh, I'm counting on him trying. That's the whole point. I want him to come. I want him to watch you die the way he made me watch my family die. And then, when he's broken and begging, I'll kill him too. You're insane. No, I'm patient. 15 years I've waited for this. 15 years of planning, preparing, waiting for him to have something worth taking. His hand shot out, gripping my jaw painfully. You should be honored. You're going to be the instrument of Ko-min's complete destruction. He stood, gesturing to his guards. Keep him alive. For now. Let's see how long it takes for Min to find us. And when he does, he smiled, cold and vicious. We'll be ready. Time became meaningless in that basement cell. They kept me chained to the wall with just enough slack to lie down but not stand. They fed me once a day, cold rice and kimchi, barely enough to sustain me and the baby. The guards watched me constantly, their eyes sliding over my body in ways that made my skin crawl. But they didn't touch me. Not yet. I was bait, and bait had to stay relatively undamaged until the trap was sprung. I thought about Min constantly. Was he looking for me? Of course he was. Was he tearing the city apart to find me? Probably. Was he blaming himself for not keeping me safe? Definitely. I imagined him in his study, surrounded by maps and intelligence reports, that brilliant mind working overtime to track me down. I imagined his fury, his fear, his desperation. And I prayed he'd find me before our captors got tired of waiting. On the third day, or was it the fourth? I'd lost track. The door opened and a woman entered. She was young, pretty, with calculating eyes that assessed me coolly. So you're the Omega who captured Ko-min's heart. I have to admit, I don't see the appeal. Who are you? Someone who understands what you don't. That men like Ko-min don't change. They don't soften. They don't fall in love. She knelt beside me, her voice lowering to something almost kind. He's using you. The baby too. He'll drain you dry and then discard you like he did his previous wives. But if you help us, I can protect you. Get you out of this safely. You're lying. Am I? Ask yourself. Why did all his other wives die mysteriously? Maybe it wasn't a curse. Maybe it was Ko-min himself, eliminating women who'd served their purpose. Doubt crept in, cold and insidious. Could it be true? Could Min have? No. I knew him. I'd seen his genuine fear, his authentic love. Whatever happened to his wives, it wasn't murder. He loves me, I said firmly. So naive. He'll get you killed with that love. But if you help us, if you convince him to surrender when he comes, we'll let you both live. You'll be free of him, free to raise your child safely. I'd rather die than betray him. Her expression hardened. That can be arranged. She stood and nodded to one of the guards. He approached with a steel pipe, and I understood what was about to happen. The boss said keep him alive, she told the guard. He didn't say undamaged. The first blow caught me in the ribs, and I bit back a scream. The second, the third, pain exploded through my body as I curled around my stomach, trying desperately to protect the baby. Please, I prayed to whoever might be listening. Please let the baby be okay. Please let Min find us. When they finally stopped, I could taste blood in my mouth and everything hurt. But I could still feel the small flutter of life in my belly. Our baby was still fighting. So I would too. Min found me on the 6th day. I was drifting in and out of consciousness, my body a mass of bruises, when the explosion started. Gunfire. Shouting. The sounds of chaos and violence. Then the door to my cell burst open, and there he was. Min looked like an avenging angel, his suit torn and bloodied, a gun in each hand, his face a mask of controlled fury. But when his eyes found me chained to the wall, something in him broke. Johann. My name was a prayer on his lips as he holstered his weapons and rushed to me, his hands shaking as he examined my injuries. God, what did they do to you? I'm okay, I managed, though we both knew it was a lie. The baby. I'm getting you out of here. Both of you. He shot the locks off my chains with terrifying efficiency, catching me as I collapsed. I've got you. I've got you. You're safe now. He carried me through a building that had become a war zone. Bodies everywhere, some his men, most theirs. The man who'd orchestrated my kidnapping lay dead in a pool of blood, his cruel eyes staring at nothing. Min didn't slow down, didn't stop until we were in his car, speeding toward the hospital. He kept one hand on the wheel and one hand on me, as if afraid I might disappear if he let go. I'm sorry, he kept saying. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you better. I should have. Min, stop. This wasn't your fault. It was. They took you because of me. They hurt you because of me. And our baby, his voice cracked. If we lose the baby because I couldn't keep you safe, we're not going to lose the baby. We're fighters, remember? All three of us. He looked at me then, and the love and fear and desperation in his eyes made my chest ache. I can't lose you. Either of you. You're my entire world, Johan. Without you, I'm nothing. Then it's a good thing you found me. The hospital kept me for 3 days. Broken ribs, internal bruising, severe dehydration. But miraculously, impossibly, the baby was fine. Resilient, the doctor said. A fighter, just like their parents. Min never left my side. He slept in the chair next to my bed, refused food until I ate first, held my hand like it was a lifeline. And when the doctor confirmed the baby's health, he cried. The first time I'd ever seen him truly break down. Thank you, he whispered against my stomach. Thank you for keeping our baby safe. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for... He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. Thank you for loving me even though I don't deserve it. Min. No, let me finish. I've made so many mistakes. I've hurt you, endangered you, almost gotten you killed. But I swear to you, on everything I am, everything I have, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you and our child are safe and loved and happy. No more enemies. No more danger. I'm leaving it all behind. The criminal empire, the violence, everything. I'm going to be the man you see when you look at me. The man I want to be for you. I pulled him up to me, kissing him through my tears. I love you, and I believe you. But you don't have to be perfect, Min. You just have to be here. With us. That's all I need. He kissed me again, gentle and reverent, and I felt the last of his walls crumble. Marry me, he said. Not because of the contract or the baby. Marry me because I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. Marry me because I want to wake up next to you every morning for the rest of my life. Marry me because... Yes, I interrupted, laughing through my tears. Yes, I'll marry you. I've already said yes, remember? I want to hear it again. I want to hear it every day for the rest of our lives. Then yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes. We were married 3 weeks later in the mansion's garden. It was small, intimate, just my mother, looking healthier than she had in years. Tay, who served as my best man and cried through the entire ceremony. And a handful of Min's most trusted people. The ones who'd helped rescue me, who'd proven their loyalty with blood. Min wore a traditional hanbok in deep navy, and I wore white, a symbol of new beginnings. When we exchanged vows, his voice was steady and sure. I, Ko-min, take you, Kong Johan, to be my lawfully wedded husband. I promise to protect you, cherish you, and love you with everything I am. I promise to be the man you deserve, the father our children deserve. I promise to choose you, every day, for the rest of my life. My own vows were simpler. I, Kong Johan, take you, Ko-min, to be my lawfully wedded husband. I promise to stand by you through darkness and light. I promise to love every part of you, the broken pieces and the healed ones. I promise that no matter what comes, we'll face it together. When we kissed as husbands, I felt something settle deep in my chest, a sense of rightness, of home, of finally belonging somewhere. The reception was joyful despite its small size. Tay gave a speech about how I'd always sacrificed for our family, and how he was glad I'd finally found someone who would sacrifice for me. My mother held my face in her hands and whispered, "He looks at you like you hung the stars. Don't let that go." I won't, I promised. That night, Min carried me over the threshold of our bedroom. Not his old chambers where so much pain had happened, but a new suite we'd designed together. Everything was soft and warm in ours. He undressed me slowly, kissing every faded bruise, every healing wound. "You're so beautiful," he murmured. "Inside and out. I still can't believe you're mine." "I'm yours," I confirmed. "And you're mine. Forever." We made love slowly, carefully, mindful of my still healing body and our growing baby. But the tenderness of it made up for any lack of intensity. Every touch was a promise, every kiss a declaration. After, as we lay tangled together, Min's hand on my rounded stomach, he said, "I found out what happened to my wives." I stiffened. What? I had my people investigate. All 3 of them had been poisoned. Slowly, over months. By someone in my organization who wanted to destabilize me, make me look cursed so people would fear me less. His jaw clenched. I had them killed. All of them who were involved. I know I said I was leaving that life behind, but for this, I couldn't let it go. Min, they were innocent women who died because of me. Because someone wanted to hurt me. And I'd spent years thinking I was cursed, that I killed everyone I touched. But it was murder, Johan. And I've avenged them. He looked at me, his eyes haunted. Does that make me a monster again? I thought about it carefully. It makes you someone who sought justice for people who couldn't seek it themselves. Is that the man you want to be moving forward? No. But do I understand why you did it? Yes. I'm trying to be better. For you. For our baby. I know. And you will be. We both will be. I kissed him softly. We're building something new, something that isn't tainted by the past. And our child is going to grow up knowing they're loved beyond measure. He pressed his forehead to mine. I love you so much it terrifies me. Good. I like you terrified. It keeps you honest. He laughed, the sound warming me from the inside out. What did I do to deserve you? You let me teach you how to love. And you loved me back, even when it was hard. Even when you were scared. Always, he whispered. I'll always love you. At 5 months pregnant, I finally let Min come with me to an ultrasound appointment. He'd been hovering anxiously, desperate to know everything about the baby's development, but afraid to push after everything that had happened. But I wanted him there, wanted him to experience this with me. The technician spread gel across my growing belly, and Min held my hand so tightly I thought my bones might break. His eyes were glued to the monitor as the image appeared. Everything looks perfect, the technician said, moving the wand around. Heart rate is excellent, development right on track. Would you like to know the sex? Min and I looked at each other. We'd discussed this. Yes, we said in unison. Well, in that case, the technician paused, a smile playing at her lips. I hope you're ready for quite an adventure. What does that mean? Min's voice was tense. It means congratulations. You're having quadruplets. The world stopped spinning. I'm sorry, what? I managed. Quadruplets. For babies. All healthy, all growing beautifully. It's incredibly rare, especially with natural conception, but she pointed at the screen, showing us 4 distinct forms. See? Baby A, Baby B, Baby C, and Baby D. Min made a sound like he'd been punched. I looked at him, worried he might faint, only to find tears streaming down his face. 4, he whispered. 4 babies. We're having 4 babies. Are you okay? I asked, suddenly nervous. I know this is a lot more than we expected. He kissed me, deep and passionate, not caring that the technician was right there. Okay. I'm beyond okay. I thought I'd never have a family. I thought I was cursed. And now you're giving me 4 children. 4 perfect little miracles. He laughed, the sound almost hysterical. How did I get so lucky? We don't know the sexes yet, the technician said, clearly amused by his reaction. Would you like to know? Yes, Min said immediately. Tell us everything. Baby A appears to be a boy. Baby B is a girl. Baby C is a boy. And Baby D is also a girl. 2 boys and 2 girls. A complete family in one pregnancy. Min looked at me like I'd handed him the universe. You're giving me 2 sons and 2 daughters. You're giving me everything I never dared dream of. We're giving each other everything, I corrected. This is our family, Min ours. He pressed his face against my shoulder and cried, great, heaving sobs of joy and relief and overwhelming love. And I held him, my fierce, broken, beautiful husband, and felt our 4 babies moving inside me like they were already celebrating. The months that followed were chaotic but wonderful. Min threw himself into preparing for the babies with an intensity that would have been frightening if it wasn't so endearing. He converted an entire wing of the mansion into a nursery. 4 cribs, each one custom-made and decorated according to what we'd started calling their personalities before we'd even met them. For Baby A, who kicked the most, a crib with stars painted on the ceiling. He's going to be a dreamer, Min declared. For Baby B, who always seemed calm, soft pastels and gentle music. She's going to be our peace. For Baby C, who moved constantly, bright colors and textured fabrics. He's going to be adventurous. For Baby D, who pressed against Min's hand whenever he touched my belly. Everything in warm golds and oranges. She's going to be a daddy's girl. I can already tell. My mother visited weekly, knitting tiny clothes and crying happy tears. Tay was excited to be an uncle, already planning how he'd teach them everything he knew. Even some of Min's men, the ones who'd become more like family, brought gifts and offered their protection to our growing family. They'll never want for anything, Min promised one night as we lay in bed, his hands splayed across my enormous belly. Not just material things. Love, safety, happiness. I'm going to give them everything I never had. We're going to give them everything, I corrected gently. You're not doing this alone anymore, Min. We're partners. He kissed me softly. Best decision I ever made, signing that contract. Best decision I ever made, teaching you how to love. You know what's funny? I thought I was hiring a surrogate, someone to give me an heir and then disappear. Instead, I found the love of my life. He shifted, pressing his ear to my belly. Can you hear that? That's your papa being sappy. As if in response, one of the babies kicked hard, right where Min's ear was pressed. He laughed, delighted. They're already telling me off. I'm in so much trouble when they're born. We both are, I agreed, running my fingers through his hair. 4 babies. For distinct personalities. For times the chaos. For times the love, he corrected. I can't wait to meet them, Johan. I can't wait to see you be a father. You're going to be amazing. So are you. You've already changed so much, Min. You're going to be the father you wished you'd had. His eyes grew suspiciously bright. I hope so. I'm going to try. Every single day, I'm going to try to be worthy of you and them. You already are. The babies came early, at 34 weeks. It was 3 a.m. when my water broke, and Min went from peaceful sleep to full alert in seconds. It's time? Is it time? Should I call the doctor? Should I? Min, breathe. I said, even though I was the one in labor. Yes, it's time. Yes, call the doctor. And yes, get the bags we already packed. The drive to the hospital was the longest of my life. Min held my hand the entire way, his face pale but determined. You've got this. You're so strong. You're going to be amazing. Easy for you to say. You're not the one pushing out 4 babies. I'd trade places if I could. Liar. Despite the fear and pain, I laughed. Because this was us, facing the biggest moment of our lives together, with love and humor and unshakable partnership. The delivery was long and complicated. High-risk pregnancies always were. But I had the best medical team in Seoul, courtesy of Min's unlimited resources. And more importantly, I had Min beside me the entire time. You're doing so well, he kept saying, pressing kisses to my sweaty forehead. Just a little more. You're so brave, so strong. I love you so much. When the first baby A, our little dreamer, was born at 6:47 a.m., Min cried as hard as the infant did. He's perfect. Oh God, Johan, he's perfect. Baby B followed 17 minutes later, surprisingly calm just like we'd predicted. Min cut her cord with shaking hands, his face a mixture of awe and terror. Baby C came next, already wriggling and ready to explore. Adventurous, just like I said, Min whispered, his voice choked with emotion. And finally, at 8:03 a.m., Baby D made her entrance, with a powerful cry that seemed to say she'd arrived and everyone better pay attention. 4, the doctor announced. 4 healthy babies. Congratulations, gentlemen. You have 2 sons and 2 daughters. Min looked at me, at our 4 tiny babies being cleaned and checked by the medical team, and then back at me. You did it. You gave me everything. You gave me a family. We did it, I corrected weakly. Together. He kissed me, tasting like salt and joy. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for staying. Thank you for choosing me. Always, I whispered. I'll always choose you. Recovery was harder than I'd expected, for babies had taken a toll on my body. But Min was there for everything. Changing diapers at 3 a.m., warming bottles, walking the floors with crying infants. He'd hired a team of nannies, but he insisted on doing most of the care himself. I missed 16 years of my own childhood, he explained one night as he rocked Baby D. We'd named her Minji, after Min's grandmother. I'm not missing a single moment of theirs. We'd named the others carefully. Baby A was Jae-sung, made with respect. Baby B was Haun, gracious and silver. And Baby C was Taeyong, great son. 4 perfect names for 4 perfect babies. Do you ever regret it? Min asked one quiet afternoon. We were in the nursery, each holding 2 babies. Taking that contract? Coming here? Everything that happened. I thought about the fear, the pain, the darkness of those first weeks. But I also thought about the love that had grown from it, the family we'd built, the man Min had become. Not for a second, I said honestly. It brought me to you. To them. To this life we've built together. How could I regret that? Even the bad parts? The bad parts made us appreciate the good ones more. They taught us how to fight for each other. How to choose love even when it's hard. I shifted Haun in my arms, watching her tiny face scrunch up in sleep. Would I want to go through it again? No. But am I grateful for where it led? Absolutely. Min leaned over to kiss me, careful not to disturb the babies. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, Kong Johan. You know that, right? Ko Johan now, I corrected with a smile. I took your name, remember? Ko-Yohan, he repeated, like he was tasting the words. My husband, the father of my children, my entire world. And you're mine. All of you, the good, the bad, the reformed crime boss who cries during diaper changes. Hey, Jae-sung peed on me. That was traumatic. I laughed, startling Taeyong awake. He immediately started crying, which set off Minji, which woke Haeun and Jae-sung. Within seconds, all 4 babies were wailing in perfect chaos. Min and I looked at each other over the cacophony. This is our life now, he said. This is our life, I agreed. I love it. Me too. And as we moved together to soothe our 4 beautiful, demanding, perfect children, I realized that my borrowed heart, the one I'd sold to survive, had become wholly his. And his, once frozen and broken, had thawed completely for me. We'd saved each other in the end. Not with money or contracts or obligations, but with something far more powerful. Love. Pure, imperfect, hard-won love. 5 years later. Papa. Daddy. Jae-sung took my toy. Did not. Did too. I looked up from where I was helping Taeyong with his homework to find Minji and Jae-sung facing off in the living room, both red-faced and ready for battle. Haeun sat between them, calmly reading a book and ignoring the drama entirely. What's the rule? Min called from the kitchen, where he was attempting to cook dinner. He'd gotten better over the years, but better was relative. Share everything. All 4 kids chorused, though Jae-sung and Minji still glared at each other. And what happens when we don't follow rules? Time out, Minji admitted reluctantly, her little face falling. So what should you do? Apologize and share, Jae-sung sighed. They hugged it out with the dramatic flair of 5-year-olds, and crisis was averted. For now. Min appeared in the doorway, an apron tied around his waist and flour somehow in his hair. How is it possible that 4 small humans create this much chaos? They get it from you, I said sweetly. Slander. They get it from Uncle Tae. My brother, now in university and studying to be a teacher, had indeed taught them all his best troublemaking techniques during his visits. Traitor. Dinner in 10 minutes, Min announced. Go wash your hands, monsters. The 4 of them thundered off to the bathroom in a stampede that would have terrified anyone who didn't live here. Haeun calmly marked her page and followed at a more sedate pace. Min collapsed onto the couch beside me, pulling me against his chest. Remember when we thought 1 baby would be hard? Remember when you were a terrifying crime boss, and I was a desperate Omega selling himself for money? Dark days. He kissed the top of my head. I prefer these chaotic, exhausting, perfect days. Me too. In the 5 years since the quadruplets were born, our lives had transformed completely. Min had successfully transitioned all his businesses to legitimate enterprises. He now ran one of the most successful tech companies in Seoul, using his strategic mind for innovation instead of intimidation. We'd moved to a larger house, still secure, but less fortress-like. Somewhere the kids could run and play without armed guards watching their every move. My mother lived in the guest house, healthy and happy and utterly besotted with her grandchildren. Tae visited every weekend, bringing his girlfriend and his infectious energy. We were, against all odds, a normal family. Well, mostly normal. Mr. Ko, one of the house staff, appeared. Mrs. Kong is asking if the children can sleep over tonight. She wants to have a grandma party. Min and I looked at each other. A night alone, without 4 demanding 5-year-olds? Yes, we said simultaneously. After dinner, and after delivering 4 overexcited children to my mother's care, Min and I returned to a house that was eerily quiet. What do we do? I asked, genuinely unsure. We haven't had a night alone in. I can't even remember. Min grinned wickedly. I can think of a few things. We're not 20 anymore, Min. We can't just. He kissed me, deep and passionate, and I remembered that yes, actually we could. We made love slowly, rediscovering each other without the constant interruptions of parenthood. After lying tangled in sheets, Min traced patterns on my skin. Do you ever think about that first night? He asked quietly. How terrible I was to you. Sometimes. But I also think about how far you've come. How far we've both come. I turned to face him. You're not that man anymore, Min. You're someone better. Because of you. Because of both of us. We built this together. This life, this family, this love. He pulled me closer, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Thank you for not giving up on me. For seeing something worth saving when I couldn't see it myself. Thank you for letting me save you. For saving me right back. We fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other and the knowledge that we'd survived everything the world had thrown at us. The next morning, we picked up 4 exhausted but happy children from my mother's house. "Grandma let us stay up late," Minji announced proudly. "And we had ice cream for breakfast," Taeyong added. Min shot my mother a look, but she just smiled innocently. Grandma privilege. In the car on the way home, Haun climbed into my lap. "Papa, do you love Daddy?" "More than anything." "Well, almost anything." I tickled her. "I love you 4 more." "That's not true," Min protested from the driver's seat. "Papa loves me most. He tells me every night." "Ew, gross," Jae-sung shouted. Daddy and Papa sitting in a tree. Minji started singing, and the others joined in enthusiastically. Min reached over to squeeze my hand, his eyes warm with love and laughter. And in that moment, surrounded by chaos and noise and sticky fingers and terrible singing, I knew with absolute certainty that this was exactly where I was meant to be. I'd sold my body for survival, but I'd gained a soulmate. I'd signed a contract for money, but I'd earned a family. I'd agreed to give a ruthless alpha an heir, but I'd received 4 perfect children and a love that would last forever. And Ko-min, the broken mafia boss who'd thought himself cursed, had learned that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. From desperation comes hope. From darkness comes light. From a borrowed heart comes love eternal.